Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to be your virtual gym mentor today as we break down a completely fresh, incredibly smart approach to chest training. Look, if you're just starting out on your fitness journey, or hey, even if you've been casually hitting the gym for a while but just aren't seeing the results you want, you are in exactly the right place. So grab your gym bag, get comfortable, and let's just dive right into this. We're going to completely redefine how you look at the bench press, and honestly, chest day in general. People think you need crazy weights for a good chest workout, but today we train smart. This quote hits the nail on the head. It captures the single biggest trap almost every beginner falls right into, the ego trap. You walk into the gym, you see someone pushing these massive, bending barbells, and you naturally think to yourself, well, that's what I need to do. Let me just stop you right there. We are completely tearing down that crazy weights myth today. We are prioritizing perfect technique over protecting your ego. Because training smart, it means checking your pride at the door and focusing entirely on what the muscle is actually doing, rather than how much iron is clanking around on the bar.
So, here's today's game plan. First, the smart training mindset. Second, warm-up and shoulder mobility. Third, bench press form and tension. Fourth, dumbbell growth and control. Fifth, the push-up finisher. And finally, number 6, the real secret is consistency.
All right, diving into section 1, the smart training mindset. It's all about training smart versus ego lifting. Moving right along to section 2, warm-up and shoulder mobility. This is where we talk about prepping the body. Now, prepping your body is the absolutely crucial step that almost every beginner just skips. You know the drill. Most people walk into the gym totally cold, they immediately slap a 45-pound plate on each side of the bar and just start pressing. But when you do that, your muscles are stiff, your joints are completely dry, and your tendons, they're essentially like frozen rubber bands just waiting to snap. And what happens? Fast forward a few weeks, and they're sitting at home icing a painful shoulder injury. Well, our approach is totally different. We just do 3 short minutes of light cardio, followed by some resistance band mobility. Literally just 3 minutes. We're actively raising your core temperature, bringing fresh blood and oxygen into the joint capsule, and prepping the tissue for a heavy load. This tiny little investment in time builds the ultimate foundation for a massive, completely pain-free bench press. So let's get into the exact mobility routine. First up, grab a simple, lightweight resistance band. You're going to perform slow, incredibly controlled shoulder rotations. A lot of people call these dislocates or pass-throughs. You just keep your arms totally straight and slowly move the band from your waist all the way up over your head and then down behind your back. The absolute most important thing here is to control the movement. No rushing. You are actively lubricating those shoulder joints and opening up the chest. Remember, healthy shoulders are the foundation of a stronger bench press. You literally can't build a big chest if your shoulders are too wrecked to even let you press. Okay, section 3, bench press form and tension. Let's get to the main lift. Look, everybody wants a big chest, but very few people actually want to put in the intense focus to use proper form to get it. So let's get you set up perfectly on the bench. Think of this as your mental checklist before the bar even moves an inch. First, feet planted. Your feet shouldn't be tap dancing around during a set. You want to drive them firmly into the floor, almost like you're trying to push the ground away from you. Second, chest up. Consciously push your sternum right up toward the ceiling to create a nice tight little arch in your upper back. And third, shoulders tight. You really need to pinch your shoulder blades together underneath you. Imagine you're trying to crush a grape right between them. These 3 cues create a rock-solid, incredibly stable platform. If you try to press without this tight foundation, it's literally like trying to fire a cannon out of a canoe. All your power just leaks right out into the water. Now here's a massive perspective shift for anyone just starting out. The actual weight on the bar, it's simply not important right now. Seriously, what is highly important is muscle tension. Think about it. Your chest muscles don't have eyes. They have absolutely no idea if you're lifting 50 pounds or 500 pounds. They only respond to the microscopic tearing and the mechanical tension placed directly across those muscle fibers. When you bring the bar down nice and slow and strictly control the eccentric part of the movement, you are maximizing that tension. The muscle fibers are forced to engage, adapt, and eventually grow thicker just to handle that stress. Shifting your focus completely away from how heavy the bar is and zeroing in on how much mechanical tension the muscle is experiencing, well, that is the true biological secret to unlocking chest growth. Sometimes lightweight hurts more than ego lifting. This always reminds me of those hilarious videos by the gym prankster Anatoly, where he just casually outlifts these giant, overly confident bodybuilders. But there's actually a really deep, practical truth to this.
If you drop the weight on the bar by half right now, and I forced you to take 3 full seconds to strictly lower the bar, pause on your chest for a dead second, and then forcefully squeeze it back up, oh man, you are going to be in an incredible amount of pain. But it's the good, muscle-building kind of pain. Executing perfect, tension-filled form with a really light weight is so much harder, and honestly, infinitely more productive than sloppy, bouncy, heavy ego lifting.
Which brings us to Section 4, Dumbbell Growth and Control. Time to talk about shaping the chest. All right, now that we've done our heavy barbell work, we're transitioning over to the incline dumbbell press. This is going to specifically target the upper chest, which honestly completely changes your entire physique. It gives it that full armor plate look. For this, I really want you to memorize this simple 3-part mantra: stretch, press, squeeze. As you slowly bring those dumbbells down, you want to feel a deep, pulling stretch right across your upper chest fibers. As you press up, powerfully control the weight, and at the absolute top, squeeze those chest muscles together as hard as you possibly can for 1 full second. Making these slow, perfectly controlled reps your absolute priority is going to change the game for you. Now, knowing exactly how to execute the movement is super important, but knowing what not to do is just as crucial. As your mentor, I've got to give you a little bit of tough love here and call out some common beginner mistakes we see every single day in the gym. First up, throwing dumbbells. When you just heave the weights up and let them drop uncontrollably, you're just fighting gravity. You aren't actually training your chest. Second, rushing your reps. Slow it down. Force the muscle to actually do the work. And third, using way too much weight on your dumbbell flies. Listen, when we move to dumbbell flies, this exercise is entirely about feeling the deep stretch in the muscle belly. If you go too heavy, your shoulders and your biceps immediately take over to compensate. If your chest isn't intensely burning during a fly, you are simply using too much weight. Lighten up, drop your ego, and chase that stretch. All right, Section 5, the push-up finisher. Emptying the tank. So it's time to empty the tank completely. We are leaving absolutely nothing behind on the gym floor today. So I have to ask you directly, are you ready for the final challenge? Because this right here, this is the defining moment in the workout. This is where your mind is going to desperately try to convince you to just pack up your bag and head straight to the locker room. But as your coach, I'm telling you, this is exactly where the magic happens. The challenge is elegantly simple, yet brutally effective. Push-ups till failure. There's no fancy equipment here. There are no pins or weights to adjust. You just drop down to the floor, keep your core completely tight, and pump out as many perfect, strict push-ups as you can until your chest simply gives out. You go until you literally cannot push yourself off the floor for one more rep. When you hit that point of total failure, your chest muscles are completely and utterly exhausted. And that intense exhaustion, that's the exact undeniable biological signal your central nervous system needs to kickstart the repair and growth process. Finally, Section 6. The real secret is consistency. Let's cover your cool down and recovery. As we move into our cool down stretching, I really need you to understand something crucial. The workout absolutely does not end when the lifting stops. This right here is your real growth phase. Immediately post-workout, your job is to eat good, highly nutritious food. Get that lean protein and those quality carbs into your system to fuel the rebuilding process. Then, tonight, your absolute priority is to sleep properly. Muscle is not built in the gym, folks. Muscle is broken down in the gym through those microscopic tears we talked about earlier. It's actually built in your bed while you are deep in REM sleep. And finally, tomorrow and beyond, your job is to stay consistent. Doing this perfect, smart chest workout one time is a great start, but repeating this exact process consistently, week after week, month after month, that is the only way to build an incredible physique. People search for secret workouts, but the real secret is consistency. You know, you are now fully armed with the smart training mindset, the perfect form cues to master mechanical tension, and a foolproof push-up finisher to completely empty the tank. But the true test isn't what you did today. It's what you do when that initial motivation fades. When you wake up incredibly sore tomorrow morning, are you going to have the iron discipline to recover properly, eat right, and do it all again? Or are you going to let your ego drag you back to old, comfortable habits? Think about it. I'll see you in the next explainer.